gentlemen, this is 3.5 tutorial. I'm here to teach you guys algebra. If you want to understand algebra, these are the various things that you need to learn in algebra. The first thing there is basic mathematical operation. Inside algebra, we have variables, we have coefficients, we have like terms, and the last one, constant. Now, if you are new to mathematics and you want to learn mathematics, I would advise you to go to YouTube and you will see go to my channel on YouTube, go and watch my previous video that has to do with basic mathematical operation. I really explain it in one slide. After you must have watched it, also watch a number line, my video on number line, before proceeding to algebra. So if you want to learn algebra, you must learn these guys. Okay, if you must have watched this video, no issues, you are free to learn these variables and coefficient alongside like terms and constant. So what is now variables? What is now the meaning of variables? If I should draw this guy, what is variables? A variable is nothing but it is just the alphabets. Like in English language, we call it alphabet, something like A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, etc. 26 of them, we call them alphabets. But in algebra, we don't use the word alphabet, we use the word variable. So we use the word variable in algebra. So, but in English language, variable means something that can change, something that varies. It can change. So, but in mathematics, we call alphabets variables. So anything alphabet, either A, B, X, and Y, or Z, has to do with, is nothing but what? Is nothing but variables. So, what happens to coefficient? You need to master the spelling coefficient. So this coefficient is nothing but a number that is directly attached to a variable. If I write 3x plus 5y equal to 19, this is an equation. So in this regard, we have x, we have y. They are called variables. So you know that x and y in English language are said to be alphabets, but in mathematics, or in algebra to be precise, we call them what? Variables. But these 3 and 5, if you check, we have 3x and we also have plus 5y. These guys that are attached, directly attached, when I mean directly attached, is different from saying 5 plus y. 5 plus y, this 5 is not directly attached to y. Or if I say 3 minus x, it's not directly attached to what? To x. So but when it's like this, directly attached, that number that is directly attached to a variable is called what? A coefficient. So 3 is said to be the coefficient of x, and plus 5 is said to be, 0.5 is, plus 5 is said to be the coefficient of y. So coefficient is a number alongside the sign, or a number with a sign that is directly attached to a variable. So I could write 10x minus 11y plus 16v. So here we have the variables here, just 3 of them. Variables here, x, y, and v. These are the variables x, y, and v. So the coefficient here, if I ask you the coefficient of x, what have you? What is the answer to this? You look at this, this is 10x. X is a variable. 10 is the number that is directly attached to what? To 10. So 10 is the coefficient of x. The coefficient of y here means the number and the sign. If you check here, we don't see any sign here. But in this stuff, we are seeing minus, which is the sign of 11. So the coefficient of y is that number with the sign that is directly attached to y. What is the number? Minus 11. Then the coefficient of v is that number with the sign that is directly attached to v. So here now we have this, which is plus 16. Plus 16 is nothing but the coefficient of what? V. Coefficient means the number that is attached, directly attached at the front of what? A variable. So when you check it, if you are seeing the sign, you put the sign alongside the number. If you check here, coefficient of x, why we did not put sign? We are not seeing any sign here. But it is, even though it's 10, we also now is something as saying plus 10. So 10 and plus 10 are saying the same thing. We know that plus is not indicated here, but it's the same thing as this. So that is just it for coefficients. Variables means alphabets. In maths, we don't call them alphabets. And coefficient is just the number that is directly, the number and the sign that is directly attached to what? Variable. But let me also extend your knowledge. Supposing I write x minus y plus 13v, and I ask you, within this x minus y plus 13v, what is the coefficient of x? What is the coefficient of x? So the coefficient of x here, if you check, we are not seeing any number. In coefficient of y, you are not seeing a number, but coefficient of v is very, very obvious. So coefficient of v is, if you check it here, you see that 13 is there, but the 13 has, the sign is obvious. So plus 13 is the coefficient of v. But if you go back to x, you don't see any number that is attached to what? To x. So when you don't see number, in mathematics, it means that 1 is a coefficient. So this x is the same thing as saying 1x. X is the same thing as 1x. When the coefficient is 1, we don't write it in mass. So you have to understand this. When the coefficient is 1, it's usually omitted. We don't put it. Even if you write it like this, no problem, you see the same thing. But if you write it this way, we know that you're not a mathematician, you're still a learner. So here, what happens to coefficient of y? So here, the coefficient here is nothing but 1 for x. But if you check y before the coefficient, we are seeing sign, which is minus, you write it. Now, but we are not seeing a number at the front of y. Like I said earlier on, this guy, y is something as 1y. Anytime you don't see the coefficient, it's the same thing. But minus y is, first of all, write the sign minus. What is the coefficient? Is y, 1. So coefficient of y here is nothing but 1. So we write and also put the sign that we see. So there is nothing. If you understand this concept, you are good to go. So this is just the coefficient of what? X, the coefficient of y, coefficient of what? This. When you don't see the number or the coefficient of a number, it means that 1 is a coefficient. So be careful. Now, there is also another thing in maths that I will explain vividly. Because, okay, I will leave it in the subsequent video.